One of the last things I want to touch on, because I am aware I could keep you here all day. I really could, but I really want to talk about unschooling. I have a
Mm.
7-year-old in public school in Texas. I have a 2-year-old in daycare. You have a little boy and a little girl, and they have never gone to a formal school.
Mm-mm. No, they haven't. We give them the option a lot. We give them the option a lot. My son has always been very clear about what he wants. He told me when he was like 2 years old, we were watching Cocomelon. He's like, I'm never going to be one of these kids with a backpack going to school. I'm just never
Oh
going to be one
wow.
of those kids. He's always been very sturdy on that. My daughter Wiley is a lot more social. And so she has wanted to go to school. And so anytime she says we want to go to school, starting the next week, it's like, let's give you 5 classes.
Yeah.
She wants to dip out of 4 of them. Wiley is designed to be social when she wants to be social, but she doesn't like to be forced. And so we always, but the option is always there for them, and we always make
Okay.
sure that it's possible for them to do that if they wanted to, because we don't, unschooling is about following your kids' interests. So whatever those interests expand to exclude, you're just not forcing them to do the things that they're not interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it would be so much easier for me if my son was super interested in reading, because I am a writer. I started reading when I was 4. Like, I'm very literary. My son is like a thoroughbred STEM guy. Like, it's all
Okay.
his
Building.
core, and not just building, like engineering, chemical reactions,
I see.
explosions of all kinds. These are his like main interests. Like his dad, he's very outdoorsy, doesn't want to read books. He and I are just now reading Harry Potter, and I'm so happy because the
We're reading
first,
that too, me and my son.
I just
The
love
first book.
it. Yeah, we're
So
reading
much
it.
more detail than the movie. You forget from when you were a kid and you read it.
And I just don't show them the movie.
No.
I'm like, I have to keep this preserved. And my son is finally, I very much believe in this saying, attention is the beginning of devotion. And
Mm.
so it took, I got Harry Potter for my son like 3 years ago, but he was just never interested in it. And I know that if I want my kids to love to learn, it's not about what I feel they need to learn. It's about them knowing that they can learn and master anything. Anything they want to do, they can teach themselves how to do it. And I knew so many academics, and still, people telling me, okay, well, I want to be a photographer, so I guess I have to go back to school. It's like, what? Like, you can
Yeah.
take photographs now,
Take
you just have no
photographs.
idea how to sell them. Like,
Yeah.
read one book on sales and you'll be a photographer. You're looking in the wrong direction. I just want to show my kids that like anything is possible. I know nothing about STEM. I know nothing about STEM, but we've been having a really good time. Of the like purpose of unschooling is to find what their interests are and just foster that more.
Yeah.
And so you spend about the first 6 years of their life really observing, creating such, what do they gravitate towards? What are they interested in? We use screen time for that. YouTube has shown me a lot of my kids' interests. Who knew that construction vehicle YouTube was a thing?
Yeah.
Destruction experiments, like Mr. Beast, like all of these things. I would never be able to offer that to him because I just wouldn't have even known these things existed. So we watch a lot of YouTube with our kids and kind of just figuring out what it
Yeah.
is that they're interested in. Emphasis on with our kids. Um, so my son has shown a really big interest in the first 6 years of his life in all things like STEM related. So now it's really about figuring out what mentors we want to bring in. These could
Mm.
be these could be actual teachers. We have a STEM tutor down the street from us. This could be me opening up doing experiments and stuff with him, which we've done a lot of this past year. We made bath bombs last week. Woo. That was very fun.
And
Very
you've got to figure out like why the bath bombs and
Exactly.
explain it. Yeah.
Exactly. Because you can't just get, if you get like one of these kits, they say, put this mystery powder with this. So like the last 2 weeks have been a really big discussion and a lot of YouTube research on all of the different alkaline properties and all of the different acidic
Why they
properties.
react, yeah. I know
Exactly.
you know all of this.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about unschooling is that
Yeah.
you're learning with them. You're learning with them. So you're getting that childlike curiosity. The world of it's like all opening up for you. And you're like, oh my gosh, I
That's one
can't.
of the beautiful things about even having kids, that you get that from day one of having a kid, don't you?
Yes.
Everything just opens back up and you're like, you're back there, you're young again, and you're like, I'm seeing things through those little teeny tiny eyes again.
Yes. And people had a really hard time with unschooling because the same way we're in an era, the collective consciousness via spiral dynamics is in an era where like we're seeing all of the old systems be torn down. And so when like Me Too was happening in Hollywood and this was being torn down, all of the old guard is like, no, this is how it's always been. You suck dick for roles. That's just how it is, like,
Yeah.
period. And or systemic racism, like people saying, no, we don't even want to talk about this, we don't want to look at this is all bullshit. And it's actually, as we see these systems come down, we're like, there's some pretty big flaws in this
Yeah.
system. The public school system is the original pipeline for factory workers, the original pipeline for
Conditioning for the
conformity.
9 to 5, isn't it?
Yes. And so people are really clinging to this one. And it's not that system has already broken and fallen. It works for some people, but if you basically every entrepreneur that I know is very like anti-school because
Yeah.
people that have built careers doing stuff that they really love realize like how irrelevant their education
Mm.
was to their life. Like my husband is from Texas and totally normal life, school, and
Yeah.
college all the way up. And he doesn't remember any of it. He's not, I wouldn't say that he's smarter than me. We do our little like tests with each other sometimes. Wasn't a negative experience. He wasn't bullied or anything like that, but that was his whole childhood
Yeah.
his whole childhood is gone.
I mean, I think I
Um,
got this from you. It's like, and I believe it. It kind of is daycare. It's kind of just like childcare. You need somewhere for your kid to go so you can go to work. And that's kind of the system that we're in now. It doesn't necessarily benefit the child in the way that it's presented to.
mhm. And I think that it's really like, I don't believe that unschooling is for everybody. I wouldn't
Mm,
recommend it. You have to be very confident. And also, you need to have some unschoolers. I have a lot of unschooling friends, and some people are more of the just like set it and forget it mindset. For me, I'm like, are you willing to assume responsibility for your child's education and success? It's a
yeah.
very big responsibility. I personally only felt comfortable doing it because I just knew bar none that I cared the most. And also, I am the type of person, if I care about it, I'll make it successful.
Yeah.
So, whatever
Yeah.
my kids want to do, like, I'll make it work. But I have fully assumed that responsibility. And even though unschoolers will disagree with me on this, like, it's a very big responsibility to accept. You need to be confident, you need to have a
Yeah.
strategy, and you need to have time. These are things that I have because of how I structured my business. I don't really recommend, unless your kid is really having a hard time in school, I don't think it's really fair to a kid to remove them from their main
Mm,
society. So I talk a lot more to people that haven't had kids yet and just like, hey, I just want to put this option on your radar. This is a conversation that you would have with your partner. You might want to figure out how you feel about this before you partner up, before you have kids, and maybe make some steps to create a life where this is something that you can do, because it is to do it to the degree that I feel very satisfied and proud of it has
yeah.
taken a lot of resources, and I basically always have to train my business to take up way less time. I work 4 days a week, 2 hours a day, finito. Um,
Wow.
but a lot of people don't have the ability or the desire to do something like that.
Yeah.
So my goal is, I do want to inspire people, but I have a lot of people that reach out to me with some shame about, I don't have any I don't have any judgment towards people that send their kids to school, especially if that's in your family culture. If you have a whole family that's on a 40-hour work week, like that
What
makes
can you
total
do? Yeah.
sense. But don't come after me for neglecting my kids, honey, because I'm there 24
No.
hours a day. So that's
That's right. And as well, I just noticed the parallel in what you said at the beginning about when your students, not your kid students, but your students in your course, how you want them to overtake the teacher. And you've got that same passion for your own kids, obviously, probably even more for your own kids, that you're like, oh, yeah, I'm not only responsible for their education, but for their success. And
yes.
that's big. I mean, school doesn't really take responsibility for anybody's success. It's just, we'll give you the, like, my kid, I think it's so funny that, like, Dawson, born in Ireland, he lived in Ireland until he was 2. He can just name every single American president. And, like, every single one of them, just off in a lib, but not out of order. Just that list has been just drilled into his head. So it's
That's
like,
so
I'm like,
fun.
oh, there's other things we could have popped in there.
Oh my, so cute. But you know what? He's got a major memory on him. And we brought like our unschooling philosophy. We believe fundamentally, like our unschooling philosophy is that the best education is offered in response. So your kid has 700 questions, but those are all things that he wants answered. And if you
Yeah,
add, when you answer one of these questions and then you ask them, hey, did that answer your question? They'll come back around. Their retention is like 100%.
it
Made
is.
but and it's very different than like kind of forcing stuff on a kid and saying, you remember this, right? If it's in response, then it's always going to be
Mm,
remembered. But that's like our core values in our family are the same core values in business, which is we have to always have Q&A for our students every single week, all questions answered, no matter how hard it is, because we all of the esoteric school system mirrored the public school system, where there's a specific way that you had to learn it. You were usually only allowed to do one path. You had to be very rebellious and well resourced to be able to study more than one path. But we want people to be able to explore by following their interests, but also always have space to be able to ask us questions and really tear down like the hierarchy and the gatekeeping that says you have to learn this and then you have to learn this. We onboard all of our students personally. We take account of what their goals are, and then we make workshop recommendations and really walk them through it, meeting up every Friday, seeing how things are being digested and absorbed. We just brought unschooling to esoteric schools, but it's the who we are as parents, who we are as teachers. This is authenticity. Like,
yeah,
if you ran into me at the grocery store, if you saw me on any social media platform, if you ran into me at work or with my kids, like you'd be getting the same
yeah.
person. And these beliefs, these truths that we hold to be self-evident are not just, we don't choose one experience for our family and another for our students. Like we take responsibility for our
Yeah,
students
I
the
can
same
definitely see that. Even I can see that through your work, but even through meeting you now, like, this conversation has so many parallels that
way.
I think that does just speak to your authenticity. That, you know what I mean? It's like you're not balancing lies and hoping that they mirror each other towards the end. Like, it's just, because it's true. It flows so naturally, and it's really refreshing because at this day and age, it's not often you meet somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's just more fun because when I'm real with you, you're real with me.
Yeah,
You had a
yeah,
really big share in this conversation as well, that like a lot of people are like, I don't want to talk about why, I set fire to my to my
yeah.
life. But it's a lot more fun, and more than anything, I love doing podcast interviews because I can show up and run my mouth and not do anything afterwards, and I love it.
You've done your work for the day. I love your philosophies on work, and just two small things that stuck out to me that I wanted to bring up to you was, one, if you're sick of picking up the same thing every day, throw it away. I've done that since I heard you say that. I was like, absolutely, I am not cleaning up these little fucking blocks anymore. Like, they're gone. They're
When
open a
that
Ziploc
vacuum
bag.
hits, yeah, when that vacuum hits that Lego, you're like,
See ya.
yeah, people don't want to throw things away either because they're like, oh my God, but I bought that. It's like, yeah, you buy a lot of dumb shit. Like, oh,
Yeah,
someone gave that to me. Yeah, you need to stop letting people bring their garbage to your house. Like,
100%.
it's so we are really well resourced. Our business does really well, and our costs of doing business are also super low. But we really learned after with our first kid, just kind of buying a lot of small little knickknacks. Like I just love having, I work from home.
Yeah,
I cannot work in a mess. And so if I don't have a clean home, no work can be done. If no
mm,
work can be done, I'm not really living my destiny. But one benefit of growing up in a cult is I grew up in a friggin' immaculate house. Like, I
wow,
mean, the grout in between the tiles cleaned with a toothbrush one time a
wow.
week, mop culture, like that you sweep, you mop, and then you sweep again. You have, 60 people to deploy on cleaning the house all day long. But and my husband and I, we have just like no tolerance for mess. And so even though we don't like enforce our kids to, they have to clean up one project before they go to a new one, but they're
Mm.
children, so we help them. But I always want my kids to believe that cleanliness is normal and to see me loving like cleaning up my house.
I'm the exact same. I'm the get it clean and then I'll do the thing. Like I get
Yeah.
everything kind of to zero, and once everything's at zero in the house, anything's game. We can do whatever we want, but like we need to have our baseline covered.
Yeah, and if you can never, if you have clutter and crap and stuff in your house, then cleaning is only moving it around. You can't hire a
Exactly.
cleaning person. I tried cleaning my house on LSD one time years ago, and I was like, I'm just moving things around. So that's when the like obsession with cleaning, with cleaning by removing, like just get it out of here,
Marie
and you
Kondo was
will.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this, so I like Marie Kondo has the joy rule. I like the poop rule. Like if this had human poop on it, would you wash it off and keep it? If
That
not,
is
just like
such a good rule.
throw it away. But you won't miss it. And this will also, the Hindu goddess of money, Lakshmi, they say Lakshmi only visits clean houses. You can only be wealthy if your
Oh,
home is
wow.
clean. That's like their rule. And really seeing all the little tendencies you have to kind of pick stuff up at Target on your way out that
Oh, the
are,
kids get something every visit. Like, no,
yeah.
you don't get it. Every time we go to the store, you don't get to go to the toy section.
Yeah, but mommy, every time you go to the store, you don't get to go to the candle section, like they get their little treats because we can really rack up on stuff in there as well. And when you're seeing so much of this stuff hit the garbage bag, you're a lot more conscious about. Vivienne Westwood says, buy less, choose better, make it last. But
Yeah.
like, I didn't buy hardly anything for myself this year, but I get a baby grand piano for my birthday. So like you can really choose
Go for the big
nice.
ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The
And
things that last. Do you play
yeah,
piano?
I taught myself how when I was really young, but my son is not into reading anything like that. My daughter is already reading and writing, but she writes a lot of songs. And
Oh, wow.
she told me when our neighbor is like a hardcore Swiftie, and so my daughter doesn't really know. She called Taylor Swift. She called her. But I got her a book on Taylor Swift, the same one we got our neighbor for her birthday. And Wiley told me, she said, if Taylor Swift can write songs that everybody loves, so can I. And she has
Absolutely.
been really, I feel like so many parents remember their kids as singing little songs and stuff, but Taylor Swift's parents were like, let's throw some money at this. Let's
Yeah,
put some
let's write these
attention.
down. Press
Yeah.
record.
Same with Kate Bush. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
actually just like keep the totally different careers. But and Billie Eilish,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's really that if you don't see it as just some, if you're not reflecting on your own childhood and said, yeah, I used to do that too, but now I'm in accounting, we don't
Yeah.
live in a creative world, that's going to get passed on to your kids. But I knew that Wiley would be able to remember her songs much better. A piano's how most people write songs because it mirrors the human voice. So for her, it's for me, but it's also a big part of her education as well. As I want her to be able to remember and replay the songs that she's put
I
down.
love that. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she's
gonna
a
be
little
so
cutie.
sweet. I just wanted to touch on because I said before that there was two things you said that I loved, but the other one was, and it's so simple, but I use it every day. You were talking about, I think, dishes or emptying the dishwasher, doing the dishes, and you said like your body knows how to empty the dishwasher. Your brain doesn't have to suffer. Your brain doesn't have to think about it every time. Now I'm like, turn that off because I would empty the dishwasher, going, "Oh, I can't believe I'm putting another plate away. Here, I hate doing this," and it would be so tiresome. And then there's
Mhm.
literally no need, because it's like, it's just easy as fuck. Like, it's, you don't need to actually think about every single little piece of cutlery. Your body's going to do it.
Yeah, your brain has four divisions. Your mental has four divisions. There's the intellectual, which thinks about what it's doing and makes pros and cons lists. There's the emotional, which is responsible for feelings. There's the moving, which is repeated action. So unloading the dishwasher, you know where it goes. And then there's the instinctive, which is, you don't even really need to think about because everything that it does is instinctive. And when you learn how to like map your mind like that, anytime you're able to observe, why am I getting emotional about putting the dishes away?
Exactly.
Like this is really strange. My husband caught me doing that with the butter dish the other day. It was really funny the way that he called me out. Spiritual partnership, you guys. But when anytime you observe your mind and you try and ask, what center am I using to perform this task? It's accomplishing the same feat as meditation, because the goal of meditation isn't to quiet the mind, but to observe that the mind is loud. Kind of like
Mm,
you're like, oh, there's a homeless person on the subway freaking out. But you're not like, oh, that's me. Oh,
yeah,
that's me.
yeah.
You just kind of put your headphones in and say, I see you going on over there. Meditation is the putting of the headphones in, not the quieting of the screaming on the subway.
Okay.
So anytime you're like asking yourself, oh, why am I getting emotional about this? I'm just going to let my body do it. You're getting the same result as meditation.
Wow.
But I really swear, like, my secret to wealth, my secret to business is what we call neutral time. So nothing going in and nothing going out. This is where my business ideas, my launch ideas, my content ideas, all of the things that keep the business running, these ideas come to me when I'm in a space where I'm not like at my computer. I'm not inputting, I'm not outputting.
Yes.
Um, and I just swear by spending the majority of my day cleaning, cooking, and being with my kids. It's like very trad wife, only I'm secretly like a businesswoman in the morning. Um, but I really swear by not trying to sit at a computer and force
Mm,
productivity. I just let the ideas come to me while I'm living my regular life. And cleaning is such a good space to do that. And
yeah.
also, if your mind just won't anybody that's ever cleaned a house can tell you that, like, listening to a podcast or listening to your mom yammer on the phone or something like
It's
that.
the cure.
Yes, because you're not thinking about the cleaning. Your
Yes.
intellectual center is now engaged on the Dumois podcast. And you don't have to, and the body moves, the body folds the clothes, the
The
body
body
puts
knows what it's
things
doing.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys ever find yourself with this huge task, just that, be like, do I want to do this do I want to think about this? Like, if you're working out, you don't want to be thinking about, oh my God, I've got 50 reps to go, because you won't do it. If you're working out, you don't want to think of, let's say you're trying to do 200 squats. Trying, I've done it once or twice. But you don't want to be emotional about, oh my God, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah. You
failure.
won't
I'm
do it.
fat. No, but you just say, the legs move. All
Yeah.
right. I'm going to put my podcast in. The
Listen to
legs
my
move.
song. Yeah. Check out the
Yes.
hotties at the gym. Do my
Yeah.
squats.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There's no reason to. Easy is right. And my intention as a teacher is to just kind of present to people in terms that are hard to forget. Like, you don't need, I'm 90% of the time telling people there's not really something that wrong with you. Like, do it like this, and then
Yeah.
you won't, like recipes stress me out. Like, I don't want, if I'm following a recipe, I'm going to have a meltdown. I just want to know why something works so that I can do
And
it
then you
my
can
own
apply
way.
it your own way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Very
I am
unschooling.
going to say that this was my favorite podcast I've recorded so
Oh,
far
how
for the Wellness
fun.
Plus podcast. I would love to invite you back, because I have so many more questions. I would love to touch on human design. I would love to touch on the money blocks that you talk about. So I really hope that we can find time to do a part two. I know that you've got a baby, you've got a book, you've got a piano all coming, but hopefully we can put aside a little time to reconnect
Absolutely.
and get the message out there.
Absolutely. And listeners, like if you want a part two, be loud. Tell us so loudly.
Yes.
We will show up, but we're here for you, you know?
Yeah.
So tell us really loudly. I would love to. I had a great time here. I can talk to any mom forever. I can talk to a septic tank forever, but I had a really good time here too.
Me too. I'm so grateful that you came on and shared with us today, and I can't wait to have you back. I'm going to put every single link, website, TikTok, all of that in the show notes. And as you said, let's get in the comments. Let us know what you thought about the episode. We can reply back. We can all have a chat. And until next time, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much and stay well.
Thank you so much. Same to you. See you later.
Hey everyone, Chelsea here. I would love to take a moment to introduce you to our app, Yoga Plus. You will gain access to an incredible collection of videos led by top instructors in yoga, fitness, nutrition, and so much more. Download our Yoga Plus app today and get a free 14-day trial.